This video is all about me and not so much about you. Okay, now that I got your attention, that's partially true. So, most of my videos are educational. I want to add value. I want to help you out. But it has come to my attention that, at least from a business perspective, I should be also talking more about myself, and it benefits you because perhaps you don't even know that I can help you. Perhaps you don't know how I can help you. Perhaps you don't trust me because you know nothing about me. And so I need to talk a little bit about myself and what I offer and what I do. It sounds like duh, right? So recently I was interviewed for Life Coach Code magazine, lifecoachcode.com, and they asked me a lot of questions, and I found some of those questions very interesting. I'll leave a link. You can go check it out actually to learn some interesting things about me and also how I practice and how I got started. I'm not going to go over every single question, but I just wanted to dive deeper into some of them. And one of them that I thought was really interesting was, what's unique about your coaching style? Or I guess the actual question was, what's unique about your coaching approach? And my initial answer is everything. Everything's unique about it. First of all, I feel like I got to back up a little bit. And actually, it fits right in with the intro because usually I say, hi, I'm Dr. Lisa Matejka, naturopathic physician, energy worker, transformational life coach, and I help women with cancer who are open-minded to heal themselves on a deeper level with my truly holistic system, compassionate guidance, and loving support without the confusion and overwhelm. Okay, so I mentioned 3 things right there. So usually when people hear that I'm a coach, they're like, oh, a health coach. You're a coach that helps people with cancer, therefore you're a health coach. And it's like, no, I am not a health coach. I am a naturopathic doctor. So when it comes to those sorts of things, I'm a naturopathic doctor, not a health coach. Okay, why are you calling yourself a coach? Well, I'm a lot of things. It's hard to sum it all up, right? I wish there was one word. A cancer transformation guide would probably be the closest thing I can think of because I offer naturopathic medicine for the physical body, energy medicine for the energy body, and transformational life coaching for the mind and emotions. And that's what I'm going to talk a little bit about here. So you could call me a life coach. That's a pretty generic term. These days, there's so many life coaches that people have more specific terms. I'm a relationship coach. I'm a manifesting coach. I'm a whatever kind of coach. Transformational life coach is also, it's more specific, but it's still kind of general. That just means you are helping somebody make a pretty amazing transformation from one way to another. And I guess in a sense, that could be true for almost any kind of coach, right? That's why you go to a coach, so you have some kind of transformation. Okay, so what kind of coach am I? What does that mean? Transformational life coach for cancer patients? And what's unique about my approach? Well, again, I'd have to say everything. I mean, down to the fact that I am a life coach for cancer patients, that's pretty unique. I mean, who's doing that? If you know anyone, let me know. I mean, yes, there are some people out there that call themselves cancer coaches, but they have they kind of combine things into that, a little bit of health, a little bit of mindset, and that's great. There's nothing wrong with that. I kind of have the transformational life coaching part of me separate. So somebody can just do the life coaching program so we can really focus and dive deep into those things because maybe they have somebody else that they're doing. Maybe they're doing conventional treatment. Maybe they have their naturopathic medicine treatment. Maybe they're going to a clinic in Mexico. Maybe they don't need me for that. Great. Why double pay? So we'll just do the coaching, the life coaching, the transformational life coaching. But of course, I love my divine trifecta, which is where I help somebody in all 3 areas. This is a truly holistic system. Some naturopaths and, holistic practitioners call themselves holistic practitioners because they are doing natural type medicine. But to me, that's not even holistic. Let's look at the word whole. We are a mind, a body, and a spirit. Therefore, we need to address all of those. The mind, that's where coaching comes in, life coaching. The body, that's where natural medicine comes in, integrative medicine, naturopathic medicine. And the spirit, that's where energy medicine comes in. And then as well as coaching, I would say, I mean, really it's all related, right? Because everything's connected. So if we can work on our mind and our emotions and our energy body, our energy, that of course in turn affects the body, which is why it can help with cancer, because the body is a reflection of the mind. This is not stuff I'm making up. Joe Dispenza talks about this, but this is really just science. The body is a reflection of the subconscious mind. That's the facts, so look it up. So obviously, if the body is a reflection of the subconscious mind, seems to me it's pretty damn important that we deal with the subconscious mind. And that's what my coaching program does. That's what any good coaching program, life coaching program does, because we have to address our subconscious mind. Now, I'm not going to lie, it's difficult because some people are less aware than others. So some people have no idea what's going on in their subconscious mind. So it takes a little bit more work to figure that out. Other people are pretty aware. They're just maybe not doing anything about it. They have blocks in that manner. So my coaching program, oh boy, there's so much that we do, and I can't even necessarily get into it all. And it's different for everybody. So what it is there's a structure, but we flow within that structure. I think it's good to have some kind of structure. I'm not reinventing the wheel. I'm not completely winging it with everybody. This isn't just talk therapy. Let's talk. There is a structure. There are things we go over. There are some teaching points that I teach, but it's also Socratic coaching where I ask questions. I try to, get you to have your own conclusions and insights. But also there's processes that we do. There's processes, there's homework, there's worksheets. There might be a guided meditation, some thought field therapy, quizzes, not quizzes like did you learn stuff, but like self-awareness quizzes that'll give you some insight into yourself. There's so much that we do. So there's structure, but also we have to be able to flow within that structure, because for every person's different, obviously. And some people need to work more on forgiveness. So we might have to spend more time there. Whereas other people, maybe not. Some people might need to spend more time on the self-love part. Some people know exactly why they got the cancer. They know the exact trauma. So we don't need to spend time figuring it out. Other people, they have no clue. So obviously there needs to be room to flow within the structure. So there is definitely personalization, individuation with it. So what makes mine unique? Let's get back to that question. What makes my coaching approach unique? Okay, so number one is the fact that I'm even doing it for a population such as yourself. The fact that I'm even doing life coaching for cancer patients, because that is not really something you can easily find. It's probably not even something you're looking for, because it's probably not even something you think you need. But I'm telling you it is. And I've talked about this in some of my other videos. There is oftentimes a true root to cancer that is non-physical in nature. Therefore, the reason you got cancer, it's not just because of your genetics. It's not just because of your lifestyle. Those can be factors, of course. It's not just because of toxic exposures. That can be a factor, of course. The true root, I want to say always, but to be safe, I'll say often, is something non-physical in nature. It's something that has to do with the mind and emotions. Is it a repressed emotion of some sort? Is it something you're holding on to that doesn't serve you? Is it a trauma you think you dealt with, but really you didn't, because it's still alive in your subconscious mind? Is there a destructive pattern that got wired into your brain from childhood for something that even could have seemed innocuous at the time? Is there a lack of boundaries for yourself? Are you a people pleaser martyr? Is there lack of self-love? Have you not forgiven somebody for something? Have you not forgiven yourself? I mean, is there a toxic relationship involved? There's a myriad of things, and really it could be anything, but those are some of the broad categories, are some of the more common things, especially when we're talking about holding on to anger, grief, resentment. Um, so yeah, this needs to be dealt with. So how many people are talking about this? I'm not the only one. I'm really not the only one. Uh, I will say that I wasn't aware of how many other people agree with this. I have found that out along the journey. I kind of thought I was alone in this at first, but I'm not. It turns out, because I've compiled data, there's at least 12 like respected, esteemed doctors that recognize this and understand this. And there's many other cancer programs. I can't say many, several, a handful at most that I know of. There's several other comprehensive cancer programs out there that do include a mental, emotional, or energetic component. So it's not like I'm the only person on the planet doing this, but we are very, very few and far between and very few in number. And I can't say that anybody has a program like I have. Sometimes this mental emotional component is like, okay, we'll have therapy available for the person to go to, or, we'll do this emotional intelligence technique. And some are more comprehensive and better than others. So I'm not here to judge anybody else's program. Mine is certainly can be improved, and it will improve over the years. It already has. But yeah, I have a pretty comprehensive program. It's 16 weeks. It started as an hour a week, then an hour and a half. Oh my gosh, now I feel like I need to make it 2 because there's always just so much more to get into. And sometimes I have to add in extra days, which you get for free because there's stuff we didn't get to. There's a lot there. That's so important. So the fact that I'm doing this for the niche that I'm doing this for is rare and unique, but it makes sense. And I think if you're still listening, it makes sense to you on a deeper level. It resonates with you. You know, part of this is true. And I guess if you're curious, so here's the more about me part. I don't usually like talking about myself, like like adding value for others. But okay, so how did I discover this? I mean, I don't know. So I guess early on when I was still a med student, I mean, I was already interested in cancer because of my dad passing away from pancreatic cancer. And I knew there was something more that could be done for him, but I wasn't yet educated how. I found a couple things, but it wasn't enough. I wasn't where I am now. So I made it kind of my mission to help others. I knew there's things that can be done and there's just not enough awareness about them. So here I am. So anyway, along that journey, I discovered, it started just simple, discovered Louise Hay and how she has different emotions that go with different body parts and different emotional things that go with different ailments of all kinds. And her stuff's pretty good. But there's other people that do that too. She's not the only one. And then, I'm also pretty good with my intuition, tuning in. I'm a spiritual person. I'm an energy worker. So there's a little bit, at least, of a connection I have to source in the field. And it just like intuitively was like, yes, this is true. And I, heard things here and there. I would always compile the data. And then it really started again when I was still a student. My friend got rectal cancer. So I went to visit him in the hospital. And of course, I had to say, so like, do you feel like you have any sort of anger or resentment? Because I believe that was a Louise Hay thing, the rectum having to do with anger and resentment. And he said, You know, that's very funny. You say that because whenever I do feel those emotions, I tend to kind of contract my butthole. He said something along those lines and like hold it there. And I was like, oh, okay. I got my very first piece of evidence, some validation. Now that's still just one person, right? Um, so eventually, when I started practicing naturopathic medicine, I didn't start off doing life coaching. I just started off doing naturopathic medicine and energy work. I always knew the naturopathic medicine's not enough. I always knew that. I had to get training beyond my education, beyond my 5-year degree. And, you know, that's a whole journey because I started, of course, Reiki. Everybody starts with Reiki, right? So I started with Reiki, Sui Reiki Master, then Holy Fire Reiki Master. I got into pranic healing. I learned emotion code, body code, clearings, intuitive sort of stuff. And then later on, I learned more things, thought field therapy. I got a machine, TheraWellness, that can do biofield therapy. I feel like I'm even forgetting stuff because there's like more sound therapy, tuning forks, that sort of thing. And I like knew, okay, I got to do something besides just for the body. We have an energy field and everything starts in the energy field and then it translates to the body. The energy field is the mind is partially what makes up the energy field, right? It's like our spirit, essence, soul, whatever you want to call it. It's the good stuff and it's also the mind. So I knew I had to do something for the energy body. So I learned all that stuff on my own as well and practiced. And then when I started my practice, I was doing both naturopathic medicine and energy work. So anyway, point of the story is I wasn't doing coaching at the time. I definitely did not feel, I was like, I'm no counselor, I'm no therapist, I'm no psychologist, psychiatrist. I'm not qualified to help people in that way with those, dealing with the true root, the repressed emotions or whatever. But I'm certainly going to bring it to their awareness. So I remember one of my first patients was colorectal cancer. And specifically with the colon, I was thinking, grief came to me. It just kind of came to me like, I wonder if she's dealing with grief. And I asked her, I just said it. I was like, and do you by chance feel, just because it can be related to cancer, do you think that, you know, you have any grief that you're holding on to from anything? And I felt really shy and embarrassed, like, oh, maybe I'm overstepping my role and my bounds here, but I got to. I got to get out of my comfort zone. And even if I ruffle some feathers or upset people, like I have to do it. I have to try. And no, she handled it well. She was like, well, you know, actually, I really thought I handled it so well. But my son died from cancer several years ago. And I thought I handled it really well, but maybe I didn't. And I didn't say this to her out loud, but in my head, I'm like, yeah, you didn't because you held it in and now it manifested as cancer. I mean, I did somewhat a little more eloquently kind of say something like that to her. And then it was great because she resonated with that. She felt it as true. And she saw it. I certainly wasn't feeling like I could help her in that way. I already brought it to her awareness. I felt like my work was done. And she did find on her own, like a Qigong practitioner, some other healers to help her with that, which is great. So I just had these experiences early on, and I'm like, yeah, there's something to this. So then I was not as shy anymore. I would bring it into people's awareness. And usually right away, they'd be like, yeah. And, sometimes they'd be like, I don't know. And if I was a coach at that time, which I wasn't, that's when we would have dived deeper and tried to find what it was. Because now I'm convinced there would have been something. But anyways, so how did I go from that to coach? Well, it just sort of unfolded naturally and organically. My business has gone several evolutions. Started as a brick and mortar right outside of Portland, Oregon, in Beaverton. Now I'm like, and then it was a hybrid, and now I'm all virtual in Punta Gorda, Florida. Um, and anyways, with some of these evolutions came changes, and you always got to be improving, right? You're either growing or you're dying. And I just came to the point, especially in my spiritual growth and evolution, because that had progressed a lot. I had made a lot of progress in my own personal development and spiritual development. And I just finally felt ready. Like, this is my calling. I'm meant to do this. I have to do this. This is part of my mission or purpose or dharma or something like that. So I kind of got these, I guess you could call it divine downloads, but also coupled, I'm not like, yes, you could call me woo woo, but I'm also incredibly analytical, left brain, science person. So I combine these things like my tapping in, intuition, divine downloads, but also the data I've compiled and the research I've done. I have a research degree. I just sort of, not to mention, so stuff that's cancer specific, and then stuff that can be really helpful for anybody. I've been on the other side of many coaching programs. I kind of know some useful tools, and I just kind of put something together. And this is a couple years ago. Time flies. Yeah, it was probably like 2024. And I put this great program together, and I was like, okay, well, I have to test it on somebody, and I didn't want to charge. I wasn't sure it was going to work. So I used it on one of my patients for free. And it went so well. She was enjoying it. She was getting stuff out of it. And there came a point where she was actually declining and declining in health. And I was like, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. And she was only using me as a coach at that point, not a naturopathic doctor. She was very much on a budget and couldn't really afford anything. So I was just doing the coaching for free, wasn't doing anything else. And there came a point where she did so bad that she ended up in the hospital, and we didn't have sessions anymore. And I was like, oh, okay, this is not exactly what I had in mind of how this was going to go. And then a couple weeks later, I get a call from her, and she had been on death's door in hospice. She was a young mom too. But she said she pulled herself out. She said she utilized the tools that I gave her, and she pulled herself out of it. And she healed herself. I don't even like taking any credit for that. I mean, yes, I had a role in that, and I will recognize that, but she did it. She awakened the inner healer. She did it. And I'm so happy and so proud. And I know that this stuff works. And, things have gotten better since. So, anyways, I told you more of the story than I had planned on. But the transformational life coaching is powerful. And the crazy thing is, it seems even more important and more powerful than the actual naturopathic medicine. Not saying you shouldn't do these things, but like, it seems more powerful than the lifestyle changes, the diet changes, the supplement protocols, the detoxing, all of that. I mean, obviously it's better to do it all. And as someone, if you have cancer, and especially if you're like a higher stage or grade, you want to be doing as much as you can. So I just feel like what's unique is this is a truly holistic system. It's addressing the mind. You have to. The coaching program works on the mind. You have to have the mindset that you are able to heal. That's the only way that you can. That's that's just the way it is. So there's sometimes a lot of work that needs to be done, especially, again, the higher you are in stage and grade, work that needs to be done on getting your mind on board with, yes, you can heal. And then finding the root, dealing with the root. And there's a lot of other stuff too. Another question I thought was interesting was, what are the results of people working with you, essentially? I guess the way it was worded is, what benefits do clients get from working with you? Okay, here's a tricky part with marketing for doing what I do. Yes, of course, the most important outcome that everybody is wanting is healing from cancer. So I might say something like, well, ideally, they will be able to heal themselves from cancer. I mean, at the very least, the odds are going to increase. The probability is going to increase that they can heal themselves from cancer. And because again, I want to put the power in your hands. You are healing yourself from cancer. I'm helping. I'm the guide. I'm the facilitator, whatever you want to call me, coach, teacher, whatever, doesn't really matter. I'm really just the helper and the guide. You are healing yourself. So obviously that's what everybody wants, you know. Definitely no holds barred. Your chances are going up. The probability, the likelihood of you healing is going up. But I am not God. I cannot say whether you live or die. I cannot say whether you make it. I certainly can't say I can cure your cancer. It's not something I can say. It's not up to me. Really, it's up to you to do the work, but even then, it's in the universe's hands. There's things like karma, whatever your beliefs are. I'm not trying to tell you what to believe. So there's other factors at play. But for sure, I can say confidently that I can raise the likelihood, although technically that's not even true. If it is your time to go, then there's probably nothing I can do to raise your likelihood, right? But there's a reason that you'd be here. If you believe in those things, if you believe, nothing's an accident, everything happens for a reason, there's still a reason that we're together. Maybe you need to heal some wounds so you don't bring them to the next life. Maybe there's just something that is still beneficial. Maybe it increases your quality of life at least, so you can enjoy the rest of the time you have left. And I'm talking to you as if you're dying. You might have stage 1 cancer and you're going to be perfectly fine. Do you need to do my program if you have stage 1 or 2? I would still say yes, because there's a reason you got that. It's just we won't have to, maybe do as intensive of work as if you're 3 or 4. That's where some intense work comes in, because there's more fear involved and all of that. So anyway, I guess I like to speak to people that might be dealing with the worst case scenario, but more than likely, your chances of getting better are pretty good. But even with those people, the cancer comes back, doesn't it? You don't want the cancer to come back, do you? So let's get rid of it once and for all. And treating the root, that's a naturopathic principle, by the way, is treat the root. That is what I do. I feel like I'm practicing true naturopathic tenets, even when it comes to my coaching and my energy work. So anyway, yeah, that's one of the benefits, obviously, is hopefully, you'll be able to heal yourself. I'll be able to help you heal yourself. The odds will be shifted in your favor. But also there's more than that, because that's the beauty of when people discover their power, that they have the power to heal themselves. They have the power to heal old wounds. They have the power to heal cancer. When people discover that, everything changes. I mean, it's such a beautiful thing to behold. Priorities shift, that power now, it just diffuses out to other areas of their life. So everything gets an upgrade, everything gets an overhaul. Like they're just happier, more vital, vibrant, lighter, have more purpose maybe. So many different things can change. Their relationship with their family gets better. It's a little different for everybody, but it just ripples out to benefit other areas of their life as well. It can't not. So anyway, this is a long enough video as is. I hope that gave you some clarity if you were ever wondering, what does this girl really do? She talks about how to treat side effects of chemo with naturopathic medicine. She does guided meditation. She talks about other people's success stories to try to rewire our brain. She talks about ND licensing, legal updates. She talks about some other random stuff. Who is she and what does she really do? Well, now you have an idea. And I only talked about one aspect. I really didn't get into the naturopathic medicine and I really didn't get into the energy medicine. But that's enough for now. So I do love you and I wish you the best on your journey.